You guys loved this video last year, so we're bringing it back once again. And if you're unhappy with your manager, don't worry. Your boy Jim's got you sorted out because we've got the perfect manager for every Premier League club lined up in this video. And even if your club does have their perfect manager, of which of course we'll let you know, we've even lined up replacements for them after they leave. After all, the average lifespan of a Premier League manager is only 628 days. Nobody's safe. Let's get started. Arsenal have a fantastic manager in Arteta, but that didn't stop us from going out and finding the perfect successor to him at Arsenal, because the day will come. It's going to come, guys. I'm sorry. He will leave those sweet, sweet Gunners. And if they do leave, then, well, we've searched high and low and we've put forward the perfect manager who's had a similar coach education to Arteta, as this guy's also worked with Pep in the past, and now he's thriving with a possession-based attacking philosophy. Sound familiar? At Leicester City, which aligns very well with what Arsenal are currently doing. So for that reason, as a backup, Enzo Maresca feels very, very sensible. Now listen, again, a manager who is held in high esteem. We know Unai Emery is awesome, but good things don't last forever. So let's put in a contingency for Villa in case he leaves. Now, the good thing for Villa is that they're now very established and the current squad is awesome. But whilst being established, they've also got a good underdog mentality about them. And this manager has thrived when he's been in exactly that situation. And a lot of people forget this, right? He was excellent at Mainz. Who am I talking about there? Yeah, wait. And he was great at Dortmund. Yeah. It's not Klopp. No, I mean, he's taking a break, isn't he? But I think Thomas Tuchel would be great in the Aston Villa environment. And also with the last few years that he's had, you know, big clubs, big spotlight, I think he would enjoy having a squad that's got time to grow, but not the same kind of pressures that he's had in previous years. Right, let's have some fun with Bournemouth because, well, let's take it to an extreme place, because Areola has been phenomenal. He's done brilliantly, especially after a rocky start. But again, if he was to get poached, and it's that kind of club and that kind of manager that could get poached, then this replacement would be phenomenal. Because the interesting thing about this manager is that he's never managed in Europe. And the interesting thing is that teams in Europe are scared of him because they don't have what Bournemouth have. And Bournemouth's squad is the only one in the Premier League, in my opinion, capable of executing this abstract style of play because of the profiles they have and how fit they are. Fernando Diniz has made waves with his crazy style of football. We actually did a video on it if you want to go and check it out. And with the profile of players Bournemouth have, they could surprise the league and catch everybody out. Now, they might get figured out eventually, but that could take a while before it happens, and by which point Bournemouth will have snuck into Europe. Happy days. You'd say that when you're Bournemouth fans. Surely every neutral should want this to happen. Speaking of a perfect vision from abroad, this video is sponsored by Surfshark. Now, Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual private network that keeps your online data safe by encrypting all of the data between the device and the internet. This is crucial when using public Wi-Fi, as it keeps those pesky cyber criminals at bay. Now, we talk about perfection from abroad and a vision for the future or the present. Well, the Surfshark VPN allows you to change your real location to any location around the world. Over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries. This means that you can access new content by exploring the Netflix libraries of Japan, USA, Australia, and so many more different countries. Also, if you're on holiday and you often can't watch your favorite sporting event, but with Surfshark's VPN, you can change your IP address back to the UK and tuck into some Sky Sports or BBC iPlayer. Now, masking your IP address is essential. It's crucial in becoming private and safe, importantly, online. A VPN ensures your city, country, and download history isn't linked to your identity. Crucial if you're a dirty little scam like I know a lot of you lot are. None of my business. And Surfshark's Clean Web feature blocks ads, phishing attempts, tracking, and malware, allowing you to surf the web safely. And the final thing that sets Surfshark apart and provides even more value is that you can use your Surfshark VPN on unlimited devices. So if you currently don't have a VPN, it makes total sense, especially with the summer coming up and you're going to be on holiday, to have one to watch what you want wherever you are safely. So tuck into this gorgeous little QR code or take a look at the link in the description and get an exclusive Surfshark deal with your boy Jimbo. Use the promo code Allcott and get up to 3 months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk, so why not give Surfshark a go? From Bournemouth to another B, Brentford. Works on 2 levels, guys, because you've got B as in the first letter of Brentford, but they're called the Bees. Called the Bees. Now listen, Thomas Frank, you've been great, but I just can't trust someone with 2 first names. All jokes aside, the manager we found for Brentford suits them even more than Thomas Frank, possibly, and could be the next manager within their project. It's a ridiculous shout in terms of how Brentfordy, that's a word, this candidate is. Now listen to this, you're going to love this, right? He's 35. Yeah. Ding. He's up and coming. Ding. Right? Yeah. Drum roll, please. He's Danish. Yes. Everything Brentford fans want. And he won the Danish Superliga last season with SC Nordsjælland, a club that has only existed since 2003. Ooh, that's a hipster date, 2003. No? And he did it with a load of exciting young talent that nobody had heard of before. The exact same principles that Brentford apply to their recruitment. It's impossible, in my mind, that Johannes Thorup isn't on their radar right now. It's guaranteed that he is. Sorry, Brighton fans, but we both know that De Zerbi is leaving eventually. Actually, I'm going to put him forward for a club later in this video. But do you know what? I'm not sorry, because I've found you a new De Zerbi that could be even better. He currently has Bologna 5th in Serie A, playing probably the best brand of football in the league and scoring goals for fun. If they finish in 5th, there's a chance that they'll get Champions League football next season, which I'm sure Brighton fans would love to see a replica of. But with the Premier League being what it is, I think you could easily still get him. Thiago Motta is one of the next big managers, but an English club may be hesitant without experience in the league, but when has that ever stopped Brighton? So he would be perfect for them. By the way, both De Zerbi and Thiago Motta in their playing days were slow midfielders. We've actually got a video on why slow midfielders make unbelievable managers. So check that out when you get a sec, okay? Not just yet though, but later. Okay? Let's get back to it. How many teams start with B? Another B. It's time to admit that this Vincent Kompany ball isn't working. And there may, I don't know if I even believe this, it's difficult. Brighton, Burnley fans, tell me how you feel. I feel like it's not working. And there may even be a point to be made that he's now being more stubborn than philosophical. Big question coming up for Burnley fans and all fans, actually. So the style of play, not working, right? But that doesn't mean that Burnley can't get a manager who is forward-thinking. This manager took a club way smaller than Burnley to a Champions League spot last season with a slightly more rigid style, a lot more rigid, that lends itself to avoiding relegation as well, which is something that Vincent is struggling with. Urs Fischer took Union Berlin to a 4th place finish last season in the Bundesliga with a squad that would honestly struggle to get promoted from the Championship in England. Granted, it wasn't as good this year, but it shows how much he overachieved in the first place. Burnley fans, all football fans, is style of play more important than the results? Do you have to have both? Or would you just take it like Burnley had previously with a manager like Sean Dyche, who kept them up? What kind of manager? Is it style or substance? Let me know in the comments down below. I feel like Chelsea are a little bit too nice these days. Pochettino seems, look, he's a lovely level-headed guy that doesn't lean too far in any direction, but that's not Chelsea, is it? Chelsea need to be the villains once again and embody what their success was built under Abramovich. And there's just one candidate. That's right, I'm saying his name, and he fits perfectly. He would be going home. And he's someone who actually was unfairly sacked recently, in my opinion. Jose Mourinho. That's right, Jose. Get yourself back to the Premier League. You are box office, and it would fit, it would work, but it will never happen. But I think it would be perfect for everyone. And maybe you might have yourself a more humble Mourinho, the humble one, so to speak. Chelsea fans, what are you saying? Youth has to be the most important thing for Palace, with the Category 1 Academy situated in South London that could be unearthing more gems than anyone in the league if they had a manager who embraced the younger players and got a tune out of them. We actually spoke about this on the Ripple Effect very recently, talking about Premier League fans and if they're spoiled, in particular Crystal Palace fans, definitely one for you guys to check out. Now, his coaching CV should be mouth-watering for Palace fans who are desperate for their youth to be given a chance. I love this shout. I think he's worked with the Brentford development squad, Manchester City's under-18s, and most importantly, he's won the under-21 Euros with England last year, playing an exciting style of football too. So even with Glasner in, I think Lee Carsley would still be an immense option. I think 70% of Everton fans are happy with the job that Dyche is doing, but if he can get them to a certain point, do they need an upgrade after that? Would that be the perfect replacement for someone like Sean Dyche? Maybe not right now, within a couple of years' time? Well, I still think there is a manager that could take them up a gear even without being able to spend money. This manager has an immense track record for bringing in rough diamonds and turning them into brilliant players. It's very David Moyes in the 2000s, which actually, if David Moyes became Everton manager again, Everton fans, would you be okay with that? Another question for the comments. I'd love to know the answer to that one. Don't worry, it's not him. So the manager that we're putting forward is someone who took over at his current club in April last year at a time that they looked certain to go down, but he kept them up, and now they sit third in the Bundesliga, and the striker they purchased for 8 million was outscoring Harry Kane for the first half of the season. Sebastian Hoeneß lines up perfectly with Everton. He's essentially a more polished version of Dyche with some extra tricks up his sleeve. But don't get it twisted. I'm not saying get rid of Sean Dyche. I'm just saying Hoeneß could be a perfect replacement or an upgrade in time. Speaking of which, this is a tricky one. Fulham have a great thing going on, but eventually I think they've got a manager who has kind of revived his reputation in Marco Silva, and he himself will either want to manage a team that can have a crack at the top 7, or he'll want Fulham to have a crack at the top 7. So you could see it being one where Marco Silva at some point gets poached and, leans into his ambition, let's say, because he's done it in the past. So a manager that we found for them would be a step up maybe, or possibly in time, and it would work wonders in the Premier League. I think it's someone who is not only thriving in the Championship right now, but they are doing it in the most exciting way. They score goals for fun despite only being promoted to the league this season. And Fulham have a great opportunity to get Kieran McKenna in and give him a platform in the Premier League, because soon I think his stock is going to be so high that the top 6 clubs are going to be sniffing around. For me, Rob Edwards has to be the guy for Luton long term, but if a chain of events were to take place in which he left, there is an option that I think suits them down to the ground. His rise to prominence is very similar to Eddie Howe in how he's taken a team up from the depths of the football pyramid to excelling at the top. Now, there's a football club that you might not have heard of. They're called Heidenheim. Now, they were in the 4th tier of German football back in 2007 when this manager took over. And they currently sit 10th in the Bundesliga, having never played in the top flight in their 179-year existence prior to this season. Frank Schmidt is a miracle worker and is a perfect option for Luton. Now listen, Manchester City will need a new manager eventually, and one person who has been flirting with the job for a while, let's be honest, and flirting with Pep, and Pep's been flirting back, hasn't he, is the person that we're going to put forward, and it just makes sense stylistically, total sense. Now the players already at City allow them to play the brand of football that this manager wants, and he would essentially continue the current work he's doing, but at Manchester City instead. For me, it's obvious, it's Roberto De Zerbi. Right, bit nervous about this one. Okay, because this is a spicy one. It's Man United. Now, Ten Hag's okay, but I think this manager is someone that just aligns better. Now, my first thought when it came to this one was, who would Dan Ashworth want? What would Dan Ashworth do? Who would he appoint? Given the types of managers that he's previously employed, Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, it shows that he likes a progressive manager who's a bit brave, and the man we're putting forward isn't either of those guys, because he would do something the others can't. He would unite the club and be a figurehead for them. That's right. I'm saying it with my chest once more. Would he go? I don't know. We'll talk about Spurs a bit later on. But Ange Postecoglou would be the perfect manager for Man United. Last season was great, but something tells me that the owners won't be afraid to make ruthless decisions if they need to. And there's one manager in European football that I can't believe nobody has snapped up yet. Brighton are rumoured to be currently interested in him, but Newcastle should be the only destination, in my opinion. He's young, plays exciting football, and has an excellent track record of getting the best out of young prospects, which has been the profile of player that Newcastle have been putting forward when it comes to their recruitment. Ruben Amorim from Sporting feels perfect for Newcastle. Forest have a problem on their hands with a possible points deduction on the horizon. This could be the difference between staying up or going down, so this has to be factored into the thinking when it comes to a perfect manager. Now, I know that Nuno got Wolves promoted, but that would have been to a point, and this feels harsh, but it kind of inevitable with the squad that they had at the time. Diogo Jota, anybody? Amongst others, Ruben Neves. You remember that team. So first and foremost, I think a manager who is excellent at stabilising clubs is needed. Also a manager who can do well in both the top flight and second tier. Therefore, we've gone for Christian Streich, who's been at Freiburg for 12 years, and in that time he has taken them down but also taken them straight back up with ease and kept them in the Bundesliga for 8 successive seasons since their promotion back to the league. Sheffield United. Okay, well, look, relegation is inevitable for Sheffield United, so what they need to do is make sure they utilise the parachute payments as smartly as possible. Look at Burnley last season, Southampton, Leicester and Leeds this season. They all have something in common. When they got relegated, they looked to rebuild with a progressive manager at the helm, and it's the best time to do so because you've got a squad that's better than most of the teams in the league anyway. So it's fertile ground. So I've gone for this manager because I think he's attainable for Sheffield United. I think he's exciting. And I think because not many people are talking about him since his initial hype. Sheffield United could cash in on this and should go all out for Will Still before they miss out on the opportunity. Now, Tottenham fans, I know you're angry because of what happened earlier in the video and the video back a couple of weeks ago with Sam. But look, I understand it's annoying when you have people putting forward your manager to go to other places, but Ange is perfect. He is the saviour. He is your saviour. And I'll be honest, I don't think he should go to Man United if he is offered the job. But if he does go, we've got the man for you. Don't worry, this manager plays a similar style that differs slightly in formation, but has the same principles. He works well with the director of football. Sounds good, doesn't it? Stick with me then. And is ultimately excellent at coaching talented players and integrating them into a tactical system. The anger's dissipating, isn't it? He currently has Girona second in La Liga, and yet nobody is linking him with a move away. If Ange leaves Spurs, perfect replacement has to be Michel. West Ham fans are clearly starting to get fed up with David Moyes, rightly or wrongly. I think it's easy to compare your style of play with the likes of Brighton, Aston Villa, and you're seeing where they're finishing in the league, but the style that they're doing it in. And you think that your squad's capable of that as well. And so I understand that frustration. So maybe despite everything that David Moyes has done, there is a better option for the club moving forward. Therefore, we've gone for an option that would change the style of play completely. And West Ham feels like the perfect club for him right now. It's the man himself, Graham G-Pot Potter. But he's only allowed to get the job if he doesn't get a skin fade. Although that said, with it being West Ham, he'll probably grow out the curtains and get a little cheeky undercut. I don't think Wolves would take anyone over Gary O'Neill right now, but you can't rule out the England job possibly poaching him if he continues like this. You don't really want to make too many changes to the style of play at Wolves if you had to replace Gary O'Neill because it suits the players perfectly. And I think a manager who would be able to offer a similar way of playing is Eddie Howe, because the last former Bournemouth manager worked so well, why not try it again? This one is a tricky one because I think the thing to remember here is that, look, if Eddie Howe is available and Gary O'Neill's gone, there feels like something missing here because probably Eddie Howe's going to be the front runner for that England job. But he would be perfect for Wolves if his stock was to drop enough for him to get the sack. Video already on the channel for this one, I guess. Very simple choice for Liverpool. It has to be Xabi Alonso. So for a full analysis of Xabi Alonso and why he's perfect for the job, head to this video. It's a good video, don't get angry.